Let's turn now to our other top story. Rapper and music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is in federal custody this morning after he was arrested at a New York hotel last night. Authorities say his charges will be revealed later today when the indictment's unsealed. The arrest comes 6 months after Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by federal agents. You might remember that, part of an investigation into allegations including sex trafficking. Combs has also been recently hit by a string of civil lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault and illegal distribution of guns and drugs. He denies all the allegations. NBC News correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now to talk more on this. Julia, good morning. So first, just walk us through how the arrest unfolded last night, what we know this morning about what happened.
What we know, according to his lawyers, Diddy voluntarily returned back to New York because they were expecting a grand jury to issue this indictment that would lead to his arrest. He was at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York City, where he was arrested around 8:30 p.m. last night. Now, he was arrested by Homeland Security Investigations. They're the investigative arm under ICE. Also another reason why I'm talking about Diddy, because I cover Homeland Security, in case you were wondering how I got into this. Homeland Security has been looking into Diddy basically for the last 6 months, at least that we know of. Even earlier, they were the ones who executed the search warrants in Miami and Los Angeles in March, and they've been doing this under a search warrant that was given to them by the Southern District of New York. So we can expect more details today to come from the Southern District here in Manhattan. But a key part of why it's important that Homeland Security Investigations was running this is to remember that this could have some international implications. We expect, based on what his lawyer said, that he might be charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. If there's any indications that that sex trafficking came from outside the country, that could bring up and make this even more serious. But already he's looking at possible racketeering charges, sex trafficking, as well as those civil lawsuits that accuse him of physical and sexual abuse.
Julia, first of all, you could cover anything and everything that you feel, so no questions there, but thank you for the explanation. Now remind us the details here, the allegations he's been facing, the lawsuits against him.
Yeah, let's walk through the timeline, Savannah. So late last year, a former girlfriend of his, known as Cassie, filed a lawsuit that was quickly settled, but she accused him of physical and sexual abuse. Then 3 other women came forward accusing him of sexual abuse during their relationships with him. 2 of those women were teenagers. And then all of a sudden, there was this big day in March. We can remember there was property searches of his homes in Miami and Los Angeles. We saw investigators walking out with electronics. And then Diddy's phone was taken when he was in Miami and an airport on his way to the Bahamas. There was a lot of interest in his communications. So it went beyond what happened in his relationships. People started to look at whether or not he was actually organizing what looks like sex trafficking. And that's really been the allegation at the heart of this now. It went beyond sexual abuse in relationships. And so we can expect today, based on what we saw from the U.S. attorney putting out on X last night, that they're going to move to unseal this indictment today. So we'll be able to look page by page about what investigators had, what the grand jury did decide to indict him for, and try to get a clearer picture of where Diddy stood in the middle of all of this potential sex trafficking and racketeering.
Julia, I'm going to ask you to tell us how Combs and his legal team are responding to this arrest. I know we have a full statement. I do have a question, though, about it after you read it, which is part of it says in there that he is not criminal, is part of what they are claiming. And I guess just for people who feel like there's been so much news around him, so many different accusations, now he's arrested. We saw those raids. One thing that we all saw with our own eyes was security footage from a hotel that dealt with Cassie and that accusation that you saw there. And assaulting somebody is a crime. So I guess I'm wondering, in light of their response that you're going to read to us, how we're supposed to take that, if there really is any room for a defense here that you could see.
It's a really good conversation. I'll read you the statement and then let's talk about that. His lawyers putting out last night, we are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution. He is an imperfect person, but is not criminal. Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man, nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. Now, often we see, Vanna, that people, celebrities, people with the kind of prowess of Diddy hire very good lawyers. And most of the things that they will say is that, you know, this is an imperfect person, sure, but their name will be cleared in court. That's really hard, though, in the age of social media when you're talking about the video like the one you've seen where it looks really clear to an observer that he is abusing someone. And so it's hard to get past that. I will say we've even seen his lawyers try to take to that same messaging platform using TikTok to go through visuals, go through criminal complaints, explain to viewers why they think he is still innocent and why all of this is a conspiracy against him. We should also say that those lawsuits that were filed, especially the one from Cassie, was done when New York opened a window for people with previously what would have been expired complaints to come forward. And so these are part of the arguments that we'll hear from his lawyer. But you're right, it's hard to make arguments about someone's innocence in an age when we're looking at videos.
Absolutely. Julia, you are great on reporting at Diddy. We appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. We know you'll stay on it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.